Hello Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. Welcome to my channel. It is such a blessing to be here with you, so thank you for being here with me for your January 2024 Tarotscope. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you. In the description box below, you will find links to information on personal readings, the Soul Good membership channel on Telegram, and ways to support the work I do here if you would like to explore any of those options. You will also find a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so use your discernment and take what resonates with you. If you find that something shared does resonate, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and or share this content, as it tells YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else, which is a gift to both this channel and others as well, and I greatly, greatly appreciate that support. January kicks off 2024, a number 8 year, encouraging us to step into our personal power, to have faith in our own abilities and use them to their highest potential. This is what we're going to be exploring for this month's Tarotscope, looking at your overall energy, what new level of power and inner strength is being ignited from within you, what's gaining momentum for you this month, and getting some advice or messages to best support and serve you and your journey moving forward. So, without further ado, Sagittarius, let's dive in and see what January is bringing for you. If you have explored this channel before or seen any of my content, this may look a little bit different than readings in the past. I'm using only oracle cards for this reading. I really do enjoy using just the oracle cards. I do have tarot out in the case that I need some clarity, but we're going to have a bit of fun and do things just a little bit differently. So let's dive in. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Christ, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us about the overall energy of January 2024 for Sagittarius, please. Thank you. Okay. And that one as well. Okay, what new level of power and inner strength is being ignited from within Sagittarius this month, please? Okay, thank you. All right. Tell us, please, what's gaining momentum. All right. Yes. And those as well. Okay. And what advice or messages will best support and serve Sagittarius and their journey moving forward, please? Okay. All right. Sagittarius, the overall energy of January 2024 for you, we have here fork in the road. This is the number 13. And I want to start by saying that a lot of the signs have actually got this card somewhere in their reading. I do feel like we're being put in positions to make decisions according to our individual soul path. And I feel like many of us may be finding ourselves at a crossroads. And the overarching message I feel with this card, for which has come through, as I was saying before, for many of the signs that have received this card, is that inner knowing, right? The acknowledgement that you have everything you need within you in order to make the decisions that are best for your path. There may be external things that are trying to distract you from that are trying to convince you that certain paths may be better or, more suited for you. But truth be told, we internally know what's best for us. This card here, the oracle is on the saddle or in the saddle. On the back of this animal here, forgive me for not knowing what it is currently. There's an owl, there's an apple, and I feel as though, okay, so there's also, I don't know if you guys can see this. It looks like a dream catcher. Sorry, there's a glare. It looks like a dream catcher, and there's something about this internal knowingness that is in accordance with your dreams, right? Because you within yourself, within your soul's blueprint, know what it is you truly desire. It is our lower egoic drives, our trauma, our wounding, our programming that tries to convince us of something different. And so I do feel that the overall energy for you is trying to lay these foundations where you are in alignment with that blueprint of your soul. Okay? You also have here orphaned, the number 5. I do feel like for some of you, you may be choosing your own path, going your own way, kind of foregoing that need to fit in, to belong, right? And are, I feel, seeking out the place, if you will, that is actually where you belong. Okay, so this would be an environment where you are unconditionally accepted for who you are, what you believe, the path that you have chosen, where you are loved unconditionally for those things, right? And I feel as though there may be a little bit of apprehension with this because of that fear of being alone. However, I feel as though you're being asked to face that fear with this faith that you will ultimately, maybe not, overnight, but ultimately will find the place that you belong, and you will not have to work so hard to feel as though you fit in. So I do feel that there are changes that are occurring within your life, within yourself, which are trying to lead you to the place that, like I was saying before, is best suited for you. Certainly that's going to require you, to make some decisions and to perhaps to find yourself feeling a bit unstable, just because of the unknowns. But I feel, like I was saying, eventually you will find yourself where it is you belong, with the tribe or community that you feel you can be most authentic in. You also have the number 1, yang. This is divine masculine or natural masculine, sacred masculine energy. I feel like you're being asked to be assertive, to, really figure out, even if it means taking some time alone, figuring out what it is you want and going in that direction, creating the boundaries that are necessary in order to do so, having the courage to do that, being very kind of dedicated, if you will, or what is the word, decisive, and just seeing this, or saying to yourself, this is the path for me, and I'm going to go in that direction with confidence, because I'm clear, right? With focus, because I'm clear, knowing that ultimately this will bring me more stability over time. Okay, I really feel that there's this, fire being lit from within you to step very strongly into being the authority over your own life. And again, this is something that has come through in many of the Tarotscopes for this month. But again, as a reminder, that number 8 year is encouraging us to do that. So I really feel that this is a time for you to get very clear on the direction that is right for you, going within, right? Really getting comfortable with that and being okay with perhaps having to walk that path alone. I do feel like this is likely to bring a new beginning as well with that number one energy. I feel like it could open the doors to potential opportunities that are going to best serve you, and really take you to, like I was saying, that place that is best for you. Again, there may be some instability or fear or things that come up with that, but oftentimes it's when we're on the precipice of incredible change, when we're on the precipice of our true potential, that we are faced with our greatest fears. We have here as well for you the number 32, here and now. I feel like the best way for you to get very decisive or very clear on the path you most desire is to be present in the moment, right? Living in the past, I feel, dwelling on, potential things that you've experienced, which could limit you or hinder you or, stir immense fear in you, I feel will not serve you. I also feel that being concerned and anxious over what the future holds is also not going to serve you, right? There are many unknowns within our journey, and I feel like this is an act of surrender. I also feel like being very present in the moment, again, I feel like it's going to help you to ground, or to kind of, what is the word I'm looking for, please? Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I feel like it's going to help you to ground into what is really, really true for you. Okay, because here's the thing. When we are, very focused on the past or very focused on the future, we are often moving from a place of needing control. And that often stems, as I was speaking on moments ago, our trauma, our wounding, our programming, or what we might call our lower egoic drives. And that can put us in a position to self-sabotage. It creates a lot of noise. But if we can bring ourselves to the present moment, understanding that regardless of what's going on or what may happen or what has happened, we're safe in the moment, right? It really does open our eyes to the beauty that surrounds us and gives us an opportunity to be very grateful for where we are. And it can put us in a position, if we allow it, to surrender to the unknown, right? And to, again, really bring in that clarity, because that fear, the fear of lack of control can really cloud our judgment. It can really cloud the decisions that we need to actually make for ourselves in order to align with what is best for us. And again, maybe this feels a bit uncomfortable, which is kind of odd actually, Sag, because, typically, you guys have this very kind of optimistic, flexible kind of, energy about you. So I feel like, the things that are coming up may be playing in a little bit more to, your shadow side. I feel like there could be this sense of anxiety or worry about being kind of blindly optimistic, but it feels like, to some degree or another, I mean, I wouldn't suggest running around life all willy-nilly, but I feel like to some degree or another that may serve you. It may help to put you in a position to, as I was saying, kind of just to surrender to what God, maybe, you call it source or universe or creator or whatever, insert word that resonates with you. But I feel, it really can put you in a position to surrender to what God has planned for you. And I feel like there's something here about, the thing that God has planned for you, I feel does not lie within the constraints that you may be moving from. I feel like it's really going to ask you to step outside of your box. So let's take a look at what new level of power and inner strength is being ignited from within you. We do have the mentor here in the upright or light attribute position, passing on wisdom and refining a student's character. I do feel like perhaps this won't resonate with everyone. I mean, it is collective after all, but I feel like for some of you, you've learned a lot about yourself recently, and I feel like I've probably said this in your past Tarotscopes as well. I do feel like over some period of time now, you have been expanding your horizons, as it were, and have really been learning a lot about yourself and the world around you. I feel as though this, how do I say this? It almost feels like the path you're being led toward is one that will ultimately or could ultimately land you in this position of mentorship. Certainly, that can show up in many, many ways, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be something spiritual, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something we do as like a career. But I feel as though there's a lot that I feel like you're adding to your wealth of knowledge and the wisdom that you've gained. And I feel like to some degree or another, this path that is trying to be opened up for you, if you should choose to surrender to it, is one that could lead you to a place of mentorship, right? Where, and it could be something as simple as, you know, perhaps in your job or something, moving you into a position where you are overseeing others and are able to guide them through what you've learned and gained. So it could be something to do with career, perhaps, or it could simply be, that you've learned so much about yourself, or you've gained this level of awareness that you could be, having conversations with your circle, people in your circle, your community, which you are sharing this knowledge with, and could be, helping others to see certain perspectives that perhaps they did not before. For some of you, there's also this element with this mentor card, refining a student's character, where I feel like some of you, how do I say this? It almost feels like that thing that has to be done before you move up next level, right? It feels like there's one more thing you have to do before you rise to the next, whatever the next level is for you, right? There's this refinement taking place, and I feel like part of that has to do with releasing control. Part of that has to do with surrender. And again, I feel like this is bringing about some of the more shadowy aspects of self in order to be able to do that, because it's often from our shadow that there's this need for control, right? We don't want to find ourselves in situations where maybe we're hurt or we experience pain or, things like this. But unfortunately, that's part of our growth. It's part of our evolution. So it feels like there could be something here taking place that's trying to open your eyes to that, or trying to put you in a position where you see that not only is surrendering control liberating, but it can also lead you to places that you would have never imagined were possible for yourself. I'm not saying that this is going to, just happen overnight, or that, by the end of January, you're going to be in this place. But I do feel like it's building up, if you will, or being cultivated to ultimately lead you to something along those lines. We have gossip here as well in the upright or light attribute position, awakens consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust. And I do feel like a big part of this is honoring that trust with the divine, with God, right? Okay, I'm going to just kind of touch on something. And again, this may not be for everyone. So there is an energy here of almost being worried or anxious about leaving people behind. This may come from some kind of, family, culture, work, relationship obligation that you feel. I feel like there's something about just moving in the direction you feel called, where you might be going kind of solo, that feels, and that, again, this may not be for everyone, right? You may not be being called to separate yourself, but that feels kind of like tactless or irresponsible or something like that, um, which I feel is why this is coming up in this awakened consideration for the feelings of others. Because I feel that there's something here that you may be learning around balance and boundaries, right? Where it's, yes, it's important to, be empathetic and consider how our choices may be impacting others, but it's also very important to consider one's self. It's also very important to honor one's self. And this is something that I've experienced in my own evolution, where, for example, when I started my healing process, one of the biggest things that I was working on first was the fact that I did not trust myself because I didn't honor myself. I was a notorious people pleaser and was often doing things for other people, right? Really dumping myself into others and neglecting myself a lot, to my detriment. And so I feel like there's something here around bringing balance to that, right? Where, yes, it's important to consider others, but it's also very important to consider ourselves. It's also very important to honor ourselves, because the last thing that we want to do is to create this immense distrust within ourselves, because then we can't trust our intuition. God resides within us. We can't trust it. And we ultimately end up finding ourselves in positions that really don't serve us, where we find ourselves really unhappy, really unfulfilled, really unsatisfied. And at that point, we're not benefiting anyone, right? We're not benefiting ourselves. We're not benefiting the people around us. And we certainly aren't benefiting God, because we're not able to hear God, right? So I do feel like there's something there about that. And again, just bringing it back to, the wisdom that you've acquired, the things you've become aware of or will be coming aware of through the month of January, and honoring and trusting that. I also feel like there's something here too for some. This certainly will not be for everyone. There is something here as well for some about, from a spiritual perspective, oftentimes through our healing process, our spiritual evolution, we gain access to certain truths that aren't necessarily for everyone, right? If I've learned, how do I say, something that I've learned in my own journey is that none of us, we're not really on the same, like, we're not on the same level. There is a hierarchy to this. There are some that are more advanced or further along in their journey than others. And we can't always share certain wisdoms with everyone, right? Because they're not prepared for it. And when we're not prepared for certain things, certain wisdom, certain truths, it can be damaging to our own evolution. So for some, there is an energy here of understanding the difference between, this is something that I'm meant to be sharing with others, and this is something I'm meant to hold on to for myself, if not permanently, but for the time being, at the very least. Okay. In addition to that, there's also this energy of not forcing anyone to, how do I say, believe in or to see things from the perspectives that you have gained. Right? Again, everyone is developing at their own, unfolding in their own way. And one of the biggest spiritual kind of laws or rules is, free will. And if you've ever tried to convince somebody, standing on the outside of some kind of choice or decision being better than others, oftentimes you will get defenses rising up really quickly, rejection of that very quickly, right? It's you just kind of got to let people do their thing and unfold. And I feel like there's something there about that for maybe, some very specific individuals. We have here the mediator in the upright or light attribute position. Gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life, respect for both sides of an argument. Yeah, again, it very much feels like this whole new level of respecting differences, of really just, your beliefs are yours, your beliefs are yours, or your beliefs are yours, these beliefs are mine, and you don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to even understand what I believe or what I know. And just really kind of letting people be who they are. I mean, again, if you are somebody who finds yourself in this position where you are trying to take that path for yourself, right? It really does, how do I say? Let me back up a bit. If you're somebody who's trying to walk that path for yourself, where you have this deep sense of where you should be going and others are not respecting that, or are unwilling to do that, or not allow it, but are willing to respect what that means for you, certainly that builds a level of compassion for others who may find themselves in a similar situation, so that when you find yourself met with that, you've already been there, you know what that feels like, and are able to just let them be. Right? Which is also very connected with this fork in the road, pardon me, orphaned, yang and here and now energy, right? Because that natural, sacred, divine masculine is not about force. It's not about control. It's about letting people choose their own path, even if that leaves you on your own, right? Allowing them to make their own decisions from a place of your own power, your own inner strength, your own courage, and just letting them be exactly who they are. Okay, so that's a very interesting unfolding as well. You also have here the father in the reverse or shadow attribute position. Yeah, so it does say here, abuse of authority, dictatorial, is that how you say it? I don't even know, you guys, forgive me. Control. Right, so again, I feel like what's being ignited from within you is this desire to not control things or to have people control you, right? To not force things on people or to stand above them or to, kind of, have them under your thumb or things like this. I really feel that there's this desire for kind of that more free, flowing kind of energy, right? It feels very much like there's this move away from that kind of behavior, whether it be yours or anyone else's, because I feel that there could be a deeper understanding that that is not true power. That's not true strength, right? It is someone actually, or it's is a very clear sign of someone else in pain, someone else moving from trauma and wounding, those lower egoic drives, right? So again, I feel like what's being ignited from within you is the awareness of that, the understanding of that, and the desire to not engage in that yourself, or to subject yourself to that kind of behavior, right? Okay, so let's see what's gaining momentum for you, Sagittarius. Break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Certainly. For some of you, this could actually be, a father or father figure. Perhaps this is something that some of you have learned through your own experiences with your own, like I said, father or father figure, and are just, being the cycle breaker, really, breaking those patterns, choosing to do things much, much differently, which is incredibly powerful, by the way, Sagittarius, if this is for you. I do feel like there's a lot of healing that's been going on for you. And I do feel like moving forward, again, this is gaining momentum, right? So it's not something that is like full force, like good, okay? But I do feel like what's gaining momentum for you is rewriting that future, because I feel like there's this desire to want to live much differently, to want to live from a place where you feel authentic, where you feel like you're moving from a place of truth, and perhaps even, to take this a step further, you may even be in a position where you're wanting to live from a place of love, kindness, compassion, understanding, right? A place of truth, one where it's less about, like I was saying earlier, control or power, and more about freedom, which, to be honest, is very much in alignment with this Pluto in Aquarius energy that we are experiencing in the second half of this month, right? Or in the final weeks of this month. You may want to look into that a little bit more if you are kind of unaware of that. But I really do feel that this is how do I put this? To be quite honest, Sag, I feel like what's gaining momentum for you is just breaking free from the boxes, right? The boxes that you've been placed in or that you have experienced, and just doing things differently. You may even be feeling kind of like a black sheep, even with just the way you've been thinking about things, your approach to certain situations, right? Maybe some are very kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Very like literal, very kind of rational, maybe, or logical. And maybe you're coming at things, which I could totally see for you, Sag, anyways, coming at things from this more like philosophical place, this very optimistic place. And, so you may be having these kind of experiences where other people are like, okay, it's kind of weird, but I feel like it's refreshing as well for some. We also have here Akasha, your guidance is divinely guided. Yeah, so, with these two energies, again, I feel like there's this, how do I say, this internal dialogue that's going on. And I do feel like you're being encouraged to continue to pursue that, right? To really delve into that. Now, certainly, it's important to be incredibly discerning to know if that internal dialogue is stemming from more of those egoic drives, or if it's stemming from your intuition, right? Your connection to God. But I do feel that there are things being shared within you that are stemming from your intuition, your higher self, or God, right? And I do feel like that guidance is trying to, move you, as I was saying, into a new future, to take you on a different path. And I feel like this is gaining momentum, perhaps again, because we have this more kind of trusting energy in God type of things that are being ignited. I feel as though that could be gaining momentum for you, right? Where you are tuning more into that internal guidance system, where you are being more receptive and open to that connection with that divine truth coming through you, and paying more attention to it, listening to it more, trusting it more, honoring it more, and really, again, kind of being very optimistic and seeing where it takes you. We have here for you as well, deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. Very interesting with that orphaned card, because it does, I mean, there's a lot of energy of kind of being a bit solo, right? I feel like the biggest part about this for you, Sag, is that be held energy, because again, there's that facet of, kind of putting other people and their feelings and their things ahead of self. And I feel like this month there's this energy gaining momentum for you that is, okay, I see what you're doing here. And, certainly that's beautiful to be concerned with the feelings of others, and, how your decisions impact people around you. I feel like it's beautiful, but it's so important for you to also be paying attention to you and what your needs are. And so I feel that, this month there could be more of a pull towards doing that, which again, I feel like you will find incredibly refreshing or replenishing, because it's that constant dumping. And I'm not saying that we're not doing it from a good place. I'm not saying that, you're intentionally neglecting yourself. But when we're doing that and we're not doing for ourselves and we're not caring for ourselves and we're putting the needs of others before ours over and over and over again, eventually we're likely to find ourselves depleted, burnt out. And again, that really doesn't serve anyone. Right? So I feel like the importance of, taking care of yourself, taking care of your needs, addressing your desires, addressing your wants, addressing your truths, is something that is going to be gaining momentum for you. And I do feel like for some of you, it is solitude that can be helpful. Yeah, look at this. We have take a break, a life's work, not a season, get off the treadmill. So like I was saying, right? It really is this attention to self that I feel like is gaining momentum for you, or the importance of that balance between, what we do for self and what we do for others. How we support our own energies, or how we support ourselves, and how we support others. I really do feel that this is something that's gaining momentum, and it's important. It's important, right? It's that kind of hustle culture, that kind of give to everything else and nothing to myself, is very much a shadow of Capricorn. And Pluto just, in the month of January, is leaving Capricorn for quite a longer stay. It will be in Aquarius from January 20th until September 1st. And then it will retrograde back into Capricorn, for a brief period of time, about 2.5 months. And then it will be in Aquarius until March 2043. So, that shadowy aspect of Capricorn is more about that hustle. And, I feel like this is something that we're being asked to move out of. And I feel this is certainly something that's gaining momentum for you in the month of January. So let's look now, Sagittarius, at the advice and messages that will best support and serve you and your journey moving forward. Honor your beauty. Thank you, Jophiel, for helping me to discover my inner and outer beauty. So with Archangel Jophiel here, the thing about Jophiel is that whole kind of bringer of joy. So there's, how do I say this? There's a couple of sides of this that I'm getting. One is certainly that attention to that inner beauty. And I feel like some of you have had some trauma or wounding or programming around giving to yourself, around following your joy, about desiring what brings you joy, right? And the pursuit of that. And I feel like for some of you, there's this whole kind of energy of, you know, it, how do I say, potentially like making one ugly inside if we do something that others, how do I say, that perhaps others aren't able to cope with very well. And the truth of it is that that's not the case, right? Others' inability to cope with your decisions, I mean, I'm going to say this as tactfully as I can, but it's a them problem, not a you problem. And I'm not saying that from a place of, you know, no empathy. Okay, because certainly I've been in situations that I wanted to control and that, you know, were quite painful for me. You know, but it's other people's decisions and we have to respect that. We have to allow that. So I feel like part of the message is here for you is regardless of, you know, for example, if this is your story, if this is resonating with you and you are choosing to pursue your own path apart from the wishes of other people, that does not dim your beauty within. Okay? It does not make you less than, it does not make you bad. And I feel like this is bringing that to your attention. It's important for us to pursue our joys. And a big part of that is, firstly, that a lot of times what brings us joy is often, not always, but often, or can be part of our purpose, our mission, or assignment while we're here incarnate. And another part of that is that it helps to fill our cup. And when we fill our cup, we have things to offer others that come from a full place. We're not doing it out of desperation. We're not doing it because we're feeding off of other people because we can't sustain ourselves, right? I hope that makes sense. But I feel like this is what's being brought to your attention here. That importance of pursuing your joy. We do have here loved one in heaven. Thank you, loved ones in heaven, for drawing close at this time. I feel like this is a message for you just to know that you're not alone, because you may be feeling alone, especially if you're having to choose or if you're in a position where you want to choose your true path and that is moving you away from other people. I think this is just, you know, letting you know simply that you are not alone. And for some of you who may be a little bit more sensitive, you may be actually picking up on who this is specifically for you if this resonates, right? This could actually be a loved one who has passed, right? Which, you know, if that's the case, I'm very, very sorry for your loss. But know that they certainly have not left you, okay? Again, if this resonates for you. So, you know, I just feel like it's that energy of knowing you're not alone. Even if you feel that way physically, you are not alone. Not only are loved ones, ancestors supporting you and, you know, guiding you, but we have a guardian angel with us at all times. At all times. Okay? So hopefully that's provided some confirmation for someone. We have here as well, focus your mind. Thank you, angels, for helping me to focus on my priorities. Yeah. I mean, again, that's that divine masculine energy, right? Being very focused, having that clarity, being able to be decisive, you know, and disciplined as well. And I feel like it's important, you know, part of the message here is letting you know that it is important for you to be focused on these things that are important to you. It's very, very important. You know, especially if these things are coming from, you know, like what I would call like the, you know, the calling of your soul. These things that are just pulling at you and pulling at you and pulling at you, you know, those niggles, pardon me, those nudges that are coming from within you, right? Again, be very discerning, but I feel as though it's so important to acknowledge those things and to focus on them because, again, they're likely to lead us to our greatest potential. God knows things about us that we struggle to see ourselves and often fail to see within ourselves. And if we are able to surrender to that, and if we are able to allow it to guide us and lead us, oftentimes, even if we find ourselves facing challenges and obstacles, delays, frustrations, any of those sorts of things, even though we may experience those, it's still often leading us to our best version of ourselves, our most favorite version of ourselves, which we sometimes don't even know is there, right? So again, take that how it resonates. Take all of this how it resonates with you. Take it back to God, ask for confirmation. But it does feel as though, there's this message for you to really focus on what is important to you and to make that a priority currently. Yeah, come on now. Come on. You also have here, live your joy. Thank you, angels, for supporting me as I follow my joy. So Sagittarius, if you were looking for a sign of your sign, here it is. I mean, again, Archangel Jophiel can be that, bringer of joy. And I certainly feel as though, what you're being called toward in a very deep, from a very deep place. Okay, underneath your trauma, underneath your wounding, underneath those lower egoic drives, I feel like what you are being called toward is fulfillment. Even if you don't yet know what that looks like, I feel like God is trying to lead you there, and you have support in pursuing it. Okay? I mean, how do I say, like, real talk, Sagittarius, real talk. I recently took a master class on Pluto and Aquarius, and I'm being reminded of something that was said there. So just give me a second because I want to grab my notes and just share that with you. Give me a sec. I'm sorry, give me 1 second to find it. Yes, okay. So, one of the things I wrote down from this masterclass was you taking care of yourself is important to the collective tapestry. And it is. So when I'm sitting here telling you about, the importance of looking after yourself, the importance of pursuing your joy, and how if you're not doing that, it isn't serving anyone, there's real truth to that. Because you cannot be your best self, your most favorite self, the highest version of yourself, and contribute to the collective, to humanity in a high vibrational, or best, how do I say, like a high vibrational way, or the best way, when you're not doing that, right? We'll be moving from places of like anger, of imbalance, of, these lower kind of drives, which again, really doesn't serve anyone. I hope that makes sense. So it's so important for us to be pursuing these things for ourselves. And based on what I've learned, through my own exploration of anthroposophy, esoteric Christianity, Rudolf Steiner's work, Gigi Young's work on YouTube, pardon me, we are in a space of our development as human beings where we are meant to be developing our capital I, our individuality. So this plays a part in that as well, right? And then add into that, to even further bring confirmation to this, add into that we are now, moving more in that Pluto and Aquarius energy, which Aquarius energy is very much, being co-ruled by Uranus, about that individuality, that uniqueness, and how we can take those individual unique gifts, talents, skills, wisdom, the things that make us magnificently us, how we can take those things and use them to contribute to the collective whole. So it's so important for us to be pursuing these things, right? Even if there are people who cannot see that. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. Hopefully you find value in it in some way, shape, or form, and that it helps you to navigate January and even beyond. I'm so very, very grateful for you sharing your time, your energy, and your attention with me. It has been a pleasure. You guys, I love this for you because it really is, if you allow it to, positioning you in a way that can help you to be of service to humanity. And that's not only good for you, but it's good for me as part of that collective and everyone else as well. So thank you so much again for being here. Take care of your growing, evolving, beautiful, magnificent, unique soul. Peace be with you and within you. And I hope to see you in another video. Bye.